Hey, good morning. A beautiful day, you know. Um, 1st of February in Calgary. It's pretty pretty sweet. You know, there's lots of snow still, but here we are. We're it's beautiful. So I thought I'd come outside. It's a little chilly, but it's really nice. So I'm going to talk a little bit about daily practices because it's a it is daily practices that chip away at the walls of our prison, if you will. It's daily work that sets us free. It would seem that freedom would require no daily work, and yet um, at least where I am in the paradigm, it does. I still have to do things to look after myself, if you will, or to look after, to keep me from being, what we would call self-obsessed, or see, with the alcoholic and the addict, our difficulty is that we're we can be grossly self-centered, and so and I think that carries for many of us. We just don't realize it. So this is the deal. Some of the things that I do on a daily basis, and what I'd like to hear, though, is what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis. One of the things that I do every day is I have a spiritual practice. I even though I can't describe that thing, that isness, that I recognize as the one, as God, I speak to him, her, it, that. And I laugh when I talk about it because it's like, I wish I could just explain it. And we have a lot of stories, a lot of religion, a lot of concepts for the explanation of the higher power. But I'm just going to tell you that what I do in the morning, I have some prayers. Prayers that I do all day long, really. Really simple ones, just so simple. Thy will be done. Thy way, not my way. Thy will, not my will. Guide me and strengthen me. So I have just regular prayers that are on a daily basis. There's Jesse. Morning, Jesse.
Morning.
Hi.
How you doing?
I do a live video every morning.
Yep.
So I am live right now.
Okay.
And you're welcome to stay and listen. And here's your. There we go. So I'm just talking about daily practices, the things that I do on a daily basis to keep me from being too crazy, from dropping into grossly selfish or self-centered, the typical alcoholic addict way that we that seems somehow to have become our natural way, is that way of what about me, poor me. And I, like my brother taught me years and years ago, he said, pour me another drink. And so we have practices, and so some of them, I'd like to hear you guys to share what some of your practices are on a daily basis. That would be so cool. And what do you do to keep yourself connected? Some of the things that are physical practices. One of the things that I do is I drink more water. I found that when I'm dehydrated, it's easy for me to get foggy, and physically I feel it. Actually, exercise helps me. So if I'm out walking and doing shit, it's good to keep the oxygen moving in my physical body in reasonably good shape. And so all of that stuff, even eating well, for me has become a daily practice. More consciousness around food, around water, around exercise, around prayer. And And my little time of meditation, I'm not a monk, I'm not sitting at home in a constant state of meditation. But what has happened, though, is I do have a daily meditation, and I do it, and that helps me to connect with this source, higher power, oneness. When in the 12-step world, in We Agnostics, Bill Wilson said, I love what he said. He this one statement that he made gave us a key to open the door as wide as possible to a perception of a higher power. And he said, God either is or he isn't. Either he's everything or he's nothing. And it's like, wow, the hell is that? So that's that really opens the door wide, super, super wide for us to make a connection. And for me, for my sanity, when I finally realized that if I don't have a daily connection, I'm screwed. I'm full of fear. I'm full of worry about what's going to happen and where are things going and what about me and all of that. Right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, that is so the way. It's like, oh my gosh. So the only thing that'll stop that is I got to keep turning it over. So that's some of my daily practices. The other one it's just like, top of the list really is helping others. If I'm not actively involved in working with other guys or available for people, men and women, I that's the thing that really keeps me from going down the rabbit hole too far with the selfishness and self-centeredness, and I'm thinking about others. So anyway, what a beautiful day, eh? So good. We're so blessed. The birds in my backyard are here, and I have a herd of deer that, well, it's not a big herd, but it's there's like, altogether there's probably 4 or 5 of them, and they're in my yard often. And I love them here in the winter, but when I put the garden in, we're hoping not. So I'm going to do the daily reading. I do this every day. Jesse, you know this book? Yeah. I do this every day. I've been reading this online, live, every day since the 1st of May.
Okay.
Yeah, and which is a bit of a commitment.
Yeah, I know.
And so today's the 1st of February, and I'm going to read it. Since you're here, you're going to hear it. So February 1, from the 24-Hour Day book. Now, this book was written in 1954, published in 54. It was written kind of in the late 40s and early 50s, and published in 54. The 12-Step World, AA, NACA. Well, NA and CA didn't even exist really then, but the 12-Step World was very young. It was in its adolescence, and so this book was great. It was not official literature of the program, but it's been adopted by many, and people read this every day, and it helps us to this is one of my daily practices. It helps us to kind of tune in. It's like, oh yeah, how many of you jump out of bed and you're friggin' gone so fast, into your day without making any kind of a connection with a higher power. And one of the readings, doing spiritual readings, whatever they are, help us to kind of just breathe in the moment, just to be here. And so here we go. February 1st, thought for the day. When we think about having a drink, now he often talks about drinking or not drinking, but when we think about having a drink, we're thinking of the kick we get out of drinking. Yes, the pleasure, yes. The escape from boredom, the feeling of self-importance, the companionship with other drinkers. We don't think of is the letdown, the hangover, the remorse, the waste of money, the facing of another day, waking up in jail. In other words, when we think about the first drink, we think about all the assets, all the fun times of drinking, and none of the liabilities, none of the, the results. What has drinking really got me? It got that we haven't got an AA. Do I believe that the liabilities of drinking outweigh the assets? So he's really, in the early months of this, in January and February, he focuses on step 1 quite a bit, and which is pretty cool. Hang on, Jesse, going to lead meditation of the day. Don't go away. Here we go. Meditation for the day. I will start a new life each day. So Great. He is talking about daily practices, right? I start a new life each day. I will put the old mistakes away and start anew each day. God always offers me a fresh start. Fresh start? Jesse, a fresh start.
Right?
Yeah, it says right here in the book. Uh, I will not be abandoned or anxious. I will not be burdened or anxious. If God's forgiveness were only for the righteous and those who had not sinned, where would be its need? Hey guys, where would be its need? I believe that God forgives us all of our sins. We're honestly trying to live today the way He wants us to live. God forgives us much, and we should be very grateful. So a lot of what he says in his writing has God as some kind of a separate thing, right, Jesse?
Yep.
And but I don't see it that way, and I think that if we practice this relationship with a higher power long enough, we recognize that there is not a separate God. I mean, of course, the concept of God includes all concepts, but it's much more personal for me. It's a relationship. There's not. I'm not bowing down to something outside of myself. There's a real relationship with a God that's personal to me, and but I think what he's talking to is a lot of the folks at the time in the 50s saw God as a separate God. There was a lot of religion involved in the program at that time. Prayer for the day. I pray that my life may not be spoiled by worry and fear and selfishness. I pray that I may have a glad, thankful, and humble heart. So I've enjoyed reading that every day for, 9 months, I think now. We've just got February, March, and April left. Yes, 9 months we've read that every day. How the hell did I get into this? And so, thank you for watching. So we're going to meditate for, 5 minutes or so. And one of the things that we started doing 4 or 5 months ago was a daily meditation with the reading and my little chat, So if you want to join me for a few minutes in the meditation, lots of times when I'm showing you or encouraging you to do is to sit. Don't call it meditation. Call it sitting. And because that's, really just, meditation sometimes a lot of folks find confusing and associate it with some other spiritual belief that they're not aware of or they aren't related to. So let's just call it sitting. So we're going to sit for maybe 5 minutes or so. Hey, we'll sit for 5 or so and so this is meditation's one of our daily practices. Easy in the morning to do our readings, do our prayers, and do our meditation all in 20 minutes or so. Right? So, here we go. A little time in meditation. Just find a comfortable spot. Get comfortable. Just get comfortable. Wow, it sure feels good for me to have the sun on my face. Sucking in that vitamin D. So just sit, find a comfortable spot, right? It's all that matters. That you're comfortable, safe. You're in the car, please pull over. We're going to just acknowledge the breath. Bring your attention to the breath. go. Drop in, focus on the breath. Recognize that whatever the thoughts that are coming, it doesn't matter. Let's let them go. We're not our thoughts. And if, as you're sitting and breathing and being here, you can recognize thoughts, see thoughts, observe thoughts, then you know that you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are somehow separate from you. I remember when that first became obvious to me that thoughts came from, I don't know where, they just kind of came. And that it wasn't me. I could see that they were random even. And they would get my attention, and sometimes I would get on what I call the thought train or the fear train, chasing after these thoughts or running down the rabbit hole with these thoughts. So when we're sitting like this, we can just make a decision not to. The thought comes, just let it go. The thought comes, just let it go. If we're not our thoughts, who are we? If you go into that question, if I'm not up my thoughts, who am I? That's very deep. Big discoveries in the end of that question. I encourage you. You just stopped with us. We're sitting, just being together with our breath, allowing life to wash over us. Just to be here, now, not doing anything. We're not doing. We're just being. In that beingness, what do we see? We see that we're not our thoughts. We see that we're one with everything. We drop far in, leaving behind all of our concepts, all of our beliefs about ourselves, all of our stories, all of our tomorrows, all of our yesterdays. Just dropping down inside. Even inside is not inside, it's in some way it's not outside either. So we connect with that oneness that we know is there, we're just not sure what to call it. Just come back when you're ready. Beautiful. I'd love to hear what you do for daily practices. Your thoughts on daily practices. If you enjoy these videos, we're doing interviews also. I've got one today at 1 o'clock with a friend of mine who lives in Maui. It's going to be a great interview. He's quite a well-known fellow, so you'll see. If you're here today to watch that, it'd be great. And I'd love it if you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and follow me there. Follow the interviews and these videos that we've been doing for quite some time. Okay? Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Daily practices. Thanks.